Morning, y'all. Captain Austin here again. We're headed out of Meeting Street Boat Ramp today. We're gonna go look for hopefully some flounder and some sheephead. We don't have any live bait. We're gonna go see if I can catch a few finger mullet, maybe some mud minnows and a cast net. And then if anything else, we'll go with plastic. I've already got fiddlers. I always got fiddlers. So we'll go see what we can throw together for you guys. All right, I tried and tried and tried. Couldn't find any live bait, so we'll go to the next best thing. For flounder, I like throwing, curly tail. I like a grub style bait. You can catch them on paddle tails, even fluke style baits. I just personally like the curly tail. So this is Z-Man. It's called a curly tail Z. It's an electric chicken color. I didn't have any more white, at least that I didn't see. So we're just gonna work this bank here and see if we can't find a few flounder. Um, it's a pretty common spot that people know of. And I don't really feel the need to hide it because everybody already knows about it. So y'all stick with me. I'm gonna try to catch as many as I can. I don't plan on keeping any unless he's just that big. So here we go. We got a really strong, I'm assuming it's a northeast, might be a northwest wind. It's a north something, and this bank it's not hard to fish on the north wind because it's not really a terribly strong wind. It is a lot of wind, but I think it's manageable for now. We've got it to our back, so it's pushing me a little faster than I'd like to move on this grass line, but we'll make do with what we got here. All I'm doing with this is it's another one of those spots that's got a really steep ledge. And like yesterday, we're at a last bit of the incoming tide, so my theory is as the tide's coming in with these deep ledges, these flounder push up to the base of these ledges once the water gets in the grass, and they're feeding on the bait that's coming in and out of the grass. And the only reason I know that for certain is because I do, a decent amount of flounder gigging, and a lot of times flounder gigging these spots, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for ledges that's got clean water on it. And 9 times out of 10, if you got clean water, you're going to find flounder at the base of these ledges. Sometimes they'll push up into these little pockets, that are inside the ledges on top of the grass, and they'll push up in that even, talking an inch and a half, 2 inches of water. We've had some spots where we pull up and the water is lapping over the top of the flounder. The flounder's back will come out of the water. So I know for a fact they'll get pretty shallow, but considering the water temperatures are still a little warm, they're starting to come down, but considering they're still a little warm, I'm going to tell myself that they're more than likely not going to be crazy shallow. They'll probably be in a few feet of water. So we're just going to keep working these little ledges, and I got a couple of spots that I know for sure will catch a flounder. I just don't know how big they're going to be. We're going to work probably 2 spots for flounder. 2 spots meaning 2 separate banks, and then I'm going to go try some more high tide sheephead fishing. Yesterday it was a bust for me, but I only fished 1 spot and the tide was still hauling butt where I was at. So as soon as I pulled up, I think I dropped 2 fiddler crabs. The first one I knocked up against the pylon and he came off, and then the second one, I ended up just taking them off the hook because I waited 5-10 minutes, didn't get a bite, and I told myself, well, they're not here, or I can't get to them, so there's no sense in wasting time there. I'm getting a good bit of feedback on these videos. Like I said before, they're nothing fancy. It's just I'm out here almost every day of the week, so I figure why not record something. I get a lot of questions about how I do things, so I like sharing how I do things, and I'm getting a lot of feedback from it. A lot of the guys that have fished with me or know that I fish a lot, they all watch the videos, and I get a lot of positive feedback, so I appreciate that, guys. Now me, when I'm flounder fishing, especially with plastic, I try to work it as slow as possible, and that's just ever so slightly bouncing it off the bottom. It's a little bit tougher to do today because the wind is behind us and it's pushing the boat a lot faster. But typically, if I make a 60, 70 foot cast, I like to think it takes 10 to 15 seconds to retrieve it back. Some spots are a little shallower, but that's just kind of like a rough estimate of what I use. I don't count in my head. It's just kind of a feeling thing. If I feel the bait bouncing off the bottom, I know I'm where I'm supposed to be, or where I want to be anyway. There was a bite, but I don't think that was a flounder. That felt like a needlefish probably. Every spot I went to try and catch bait was just absolutely loaded with needlefish. So I'd like to catch at least one or two for y'all on camera. Like I said, I got a couple of very specific points that almost always hold at least one or two flounder off of it. I fished the spot I think a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, and I think I managed 4 or 5 flounder. They were keeper for Georgia, but not for Florida. Georgia, they got to be 12 inches overall, and I believe you're still allowed 15 a person in Georgia. Florida, they've got to be 12 inches, I believe. Or no, I'm sorry, 14 inches, and I think you're allowed 6 per person. I don't really hardly ever keep them when I'm out fishing by myself, just because I like to have them for the clients, one, and two, I'd much rather gig them. I love flounder gigging. That's probably my second favorite thing to do next to sheephead fishing. I love catching them rod and reel too, but sometimes they can be finicky unless you know of a really good spot where the flounder just stack up. They can be a tricky fish to target. We catch them a lot at the jetties, and it's doing the same thing I'm doing here, just casting out, let it hit the bottom, and slowly bring it back. I would like to have had a few finger mullet or mud minnows, but that's all right. So I can see some bait up here around this point that's working pretty quick around the point. So in my head, I'm telling myself, all right, well, if the bait's moving really fast around that point, one of two things: there's going to be fish close to that point or on that point, because they know where the bait's going to be. I don't know how they know. I didn't go to fish college, but I'm assuming the fish know that, okay, bait's going to be running by here. I should probably post up and wait for one to come by. Here's a fish right here. Oh, there he was. Let's make another cast. A lot of times these flounder, they'll sit there. They won't move. As long as you don't poke them with the hook. And I don't think I poked him with the hook. It could have been another needlefish. As soon as I set the hook, I saw one jump. So see if I can work back across that spot and see if he's still sitting there. For those of you that don't know, flounder are a pretty lazy fish. They kind of just lay there on the bottom, and they're an ambush fish, so they'll wait for a bait to come over the top of them, and then they swoop up and grab them. They lay flat on the bottom, and a lot of times they'll bury themselves in whatever bottom they're laying in, mud, sand. Obviously, if they're on shell, they're not going to bury themselves in shell because I don't think they can. But so, in theory, I've learned all that from flounder gigging over the years, getting to see how they lay on bottom. But in theory, that's what they do. They just lay there, and me working this plastic, I'll either bump him with it or I'll bump it close enough where he sees it. And it just imitates a bait fish swimming across the bottom. And a lot of times when they hit it, since it's a smaller bait profile, they'll hit it and just inhale it. Sometimes they won't though. Sometimes they just grab the tail and they'll just sit there with the tail in their mouth. And again, I know that from flounder gigging. We've sight fished flounder at night. Take a little jig head like this with a tail on it and bounce it in front of a flounder that we see on bottom, and just to see how they react to it. That's kind of one of those things that I like doing to see, how they react. Maybe a certain color, a certain profile. Does it spook them whenever it gets close to them? I got something messing with me here. I don't think it's a flounder though. I think it's another dang needlefish. I can't get away from them. They're out to get me today. They know I don't want to catch them, so they're gonna bite. All right, I think we got a fish on here. Yep, we do. Oh, he came off. That was something tiny. Yeah, needlefish. I can see the tail on my bait's all janked up now. This is the spot I was talking about a second ago. There's almost always at least one flounder here, so let's see if that still holds true. I may have to spin the boat around here. It's wanting to spin on me. Let the power pull down, see if that holds us here. This bank here gets beat up a lot, especially on anything north wind or an east wind. Oh, they made a liar out of me. I think this bank might just be getting too beat up, making a lot of commotion. Maybe the flounder don't like it. I don't know. Or maybe I'm throwing the wrong color. I am seeing a little bit of bait here and there, so I may grab the cast net again. I just can't tell how big they are. But there's definitely some bait. Do I grab the cast net? Do I not? I think I grab the cast net. Well, one and done there, fellas. They're a little bigger than I like, but that's what's here, and you got to match the hatch. So we'll try them. All right, so what I'm going to do here now, since I got these little finger mullet, they're probably 4 inches or so. They're a very strong bait, so they're a little bit bigger than what I'd like. But what I do is I'm just throwing a 1/4 ounce jig head, and I'm going to hook him in the nose without pinning both of his lips shut, so that way he stays good and lively. But to slow him down a little bit, I keep these little scissors on me all the time. If you don't have any, I would highly advise you to get some. They're awesome. But all I'll do is I'll take and clip his tail. And all that does is it slows him down a good bit. He can still swim, and I know it's cruel to some people, but I'm only going to do it to a couple, and if it doesn't work, then we're not going to keep killing these things. But same thing as before, I'm just going to kind of work this same point that I'm working. I'm throwing a little bit different setup here. This is my spinning reel, 2500. It's also got 10-pound braid on it. So with this being a bigger bait, we're going to work it the same way we did with that smaller jig. Just when you feel the bite, you got to give them a second. Like I said, it's kind of a big bait. It's probably going to keep a lot of the smaller flounder from biting. There was a hit right there already. Oh, he's still on it. There he is. Whatever it is, we got him. I think that might be a redfish. Maybe a jack. Let's see. He's got tail beats like a jack, so. But did the same thing I did for a flounder. Just throw it out, let it sit. Yeah, I think it's going to be a Mr. Jack. Indeed it is. Still very fun to catch, but not what I'm after. Not a bad 2.5, 3-pound jack. I said they are fun to catch, but I don't really care for them. There he is, old Jack. See you later. All right, grab us another bait and keep on keeping on. The finger mullet that I like to get, these are really great for, offshore. They work really well for inshore flounder fishing. The big trout, they'll eat them too. But like I said, I'm not really looking for a big trout. I wouldn't mind catching a big trout, but I'm looking for flounder with them. We'll do the same thing. We'll trim his tail. And like I said, all that does is slow him down. If for whatever reason he gets off the hook, that's what it looks like. I don't know if he's going to sit still long enough, but that's it right there. I just trim the tip of the tail off. and you can set him in the water and see it. It still slows him down. He wiggles a lot, and he can still swim fairly straight. But it's more so just to slow the fish down and give the flounder or whatever fish wants to eat him a chance to actually gobble him up. If I keep catching little jacks, which is a pretty common thing, throwing these finger mullet, I'll just leave them be and go on about my merry way to go flounder or sheephead fish. But slow and steady here. At this point, I'm kind of just letting the wind do whatever it's going to do with me, and then I'll just use the trolling motor to adjust because it was blowing me all over the place. There's a bite, and he didn't take it. Listen to my own advice. Give him a second after they hit it. Somebody pulling up on me here. Hopefully he's not about to pull right on top of where I'm fishing. There we go. We got a fish on here. He's still on it, swimming with it. Give him a second. He still got it. Still got it. Gotta wait. And then give it to him. There he is. And that there is how you catch a flounder. Just for a size comparison here, I'm going to show you this bait compared to this flounder. Most people wouldn't think flounder this size would eat a bait this big, but that's our flounder. He's probably 15. That's the bait. His mouth isn't, huge, but it is pretty big in order to eat that big bait. So we're going to throw him in the live well for now. If I don't catch anything else, we'll just let him go. All right, we got one down. Let's grab us another finger mullet here and try again. That's all you do here is work the bank. Slow and steady wins the race. I personally think trimming that tail helps out a lot. Like I said, it still allows him to swim. It just allows him not to swim as fast because these mullet are very, very fast swimming bait. I mean, if you ever tried cast netting them, you know that. I got another bait on. Let's see if there's another one laying here. That's the trick, though. Whenever you feel that bite, try not to set the hook immediately, unless he just takes off running. That fish there, as soon as I felt the bite, he sat back down with it. He didn't get up and start running or anything like that. So that tells me he's eating. He's going to grab the bait, and they're not going to suck it all in right away just because of how big the bait is. Now with a mud minnow, it's going to be completely different, right? Like the bait's smaller, so more than likely when he hits it, it's going to be a one and done kind of deal. Now the wind shifted me. Let's try it this way here. If any of y'all try to make comments on any of the other videos, I learned something last night. My wife reached out to me and said she tried to comment on the video and it wouldn't let her. And I was trying to do the right thing. My videos, I try to make family friendly. But come to find out, if you put on your video that it's safe for kids to watch, they don't allow comments. So I had to turn that off. Not that the videos aren't safe for kids to watch. I highly encourage it. Maybe they can learn something. But I had to turn it off so that way comments can be made. So if you tried to make a comment and it wouldn't let you, now you can. And I appreciate all the comments. Even with this one's tail clipped, he's a tough little rascal. He's like right at the biggest size that I typically like using. He's probably closer to 5.5, 6 inches. And I throw 5 and 6 inch paddle tail baits or curly tail baits for flounder, but the plastic bait isn't going to pull as hard as his little finger mullet is. So I may have to go downwind and turn around and start trolling into the wind because I can't even keep my line tight anymore. And it's a mixture of the wind and this mullet kicking his butt off, trying not to get eaten. There we go. Oh, whatever it was, dropped it. No, he's still chasing it. Come on, eat. And in this scenario, since the wind and the tide is pushing me, pretty fast, as I'm dragging this bait across the bottom, if I feel a bite, it's just as simple as open your bill. Feed him a little bit of line as you're moving every once in a while. Check the tension to make sure he's still there. And you saw that last fish, that was probably 6-8 seconds before I set the hook. It drives your nerves crazy knowing that you got a fish on there and not setting the hook immediately, but I can assure you that with these bigger baits, you're gonna miss the fish if you do it. You may get lucky and he may, inhale the mullet, because like I said, they'll suck them down, and it's like their mouth and their stomach is just a bottomless pit whenever they hit these big baits. But just to be on the safe side, it being a live bait, when he hits it, he's gonna hold on to it. So just give him a few seconds before you set the hook. What I may end up doing is, once I get to the end of this drift that I want, I may turn around and start trolling into the wind just to make another pass over these points, like I said, that I know have fish on it. That last one, there's typically a fish on there usually, so that one was correct. They definitely want the finger mullet. Like I said, you got to match the hatch. That's what's out here swimming around these little grass points, so why not give them what they're already after? Hopefully we can get him to eat again. I don't think he went very far. I'm still seeing other finger mullet getting blown up on, but I think that's Jack's, because it's throwing the finger mullet out of the water. Come on, Mr. Flounder. I know you're still hungry. I mentioned flounder gigging earlier. Some of you that don't know what it is, basically we have an aluminum boat. Some people use, fiberglass boats, but what it is the front of the boat is rigged up with a bunch of really bright lights. And we stand up on the nose of the boat with these really long poles with a spearhead on the end of it, basically. And what we do is you go out at nighttime and you run over all these shallow areas, grass points, shell beds, sandbars, stuff like that. And you look for clean water, and if you find decent enough water, these lights, they shine through, and you're only gigging typically 2 foot less of water, and you can see the flounder laying on the bottom, and you take a pole spear and stab them in the head, put them in the boat, and enjoy a delicious meal. I say that so I've got a little gigging boat now. It's just a little 14-foot boat. I bought that boat in hopes of running flounder gigging charters, but after running several charters with me and friends and just me in it, it was kind of unstable to have more than me and one other person in there. And growing up, we did a lot of flounder gigging with my dad, my brother, my sister, and my grandpa. We flounder gigged a lot. And then we had a fairly big boat. It was an 1876, and it's a really wide, stable boat. It's good for kids. The only downside to flounder gigging is, like I said, it's at night, and because our tides are bi-weekly. Here we go. We got a fish on, and it's a big one. We have to time the trips every other weekend. But anyway, I'll stop beating them. We're going to try and run flounder gigging charters, hopefully, if not the end of this year, by next year. And I'm really looking forward to doing that. I've had a lot of people that want to go out and flounder gig, which is awesome to me because I love doing it, like I said. But so keep an eye out for that. This fish here is a big fish. I'm going to let him eat till he starts running. Typically, if you let him eat long enough, one of two things is going to happen. He's going to think he's done eating it. He's going to swim off and then set the hook. Or two, you're going to think he's done, and then you're going to set the hook, and he's not going to be there. So this is definitely a flounder. He's just sitting on it, holding the bait. So he's starting to pull now. I'm going to give him a little bit more line here. Let him run with the bait. Like I said, they're pretty big baits, so we want them to eat good. This is definitely a heavy fish. I can feel him, whenever I felt the bite, I started pulling him. I can feel him sliding with the bait. So I'm going to give him a good long time. I'm going to give it just a little tug. He's still there. Let's try it and see. There he is. He's definitely bigger than the last one. Oh yeah, it's a good 16, 17 inch flounder. We're going to net this guy. Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Yeah, this is a really good flounder here. This is the size I like to see. I need to stop saying I'm not going to keep fish. Or maybe I need to keep saying it, because every time I say it, I catch fish. That is a nice flounder there. I'm going to get you an actual measurement. So that's up against my torso. For those of you that don't know, I'm not 6'11". I'd be huge. I'm 5'11". So that's a good 17, 18 inch flounder. Let me get you a measurement on the big stick here. Yep, I was right, 17 inches. So he's going to go in the box. Worst case scenario, I got 2 fresh flounder for dinner tonight or tomorrow. Rinse and repeat here. Trim the tail, get your jig head, and I'll show you how I do it again here. I don't know if I showed it close up on the camera. So I take him, right, and like I said, I go just through the top lip, open his mouth up like that, and then run the jig just behind his lip. You don't want to go too far back because you'll hit his brain, but run it through and sits on there just like that. I don't pin their mouth shut because a lot of times that'll drown them. And I know that sounds crazy, drowning a fish, but it does happen. It happens quite a bit. So that's just how I do it. Like I said, there's other ways to do it, but that's how I like to do it. So I'm going to assume that wasn't the fish that I lost a second ago. I'm going to assume that was a different one, because that fish, as soon as it hit the water, he was on it. So we'll throw it on that point again, let it hit the bottom. That other fish I missed was probably 20, 30 feet away from that one. So it could have been the same fish. He may have gobbled that one down and moved on, but maybe it wasn't. We're going to play it like it wasn't and hope that that other fish is still sitting here and see what we can do. If I can get 3 decent flounder, then I'm not going to keep messing with them. I'm just happy that I caught the 2. Shoot, I was happy after the 1. We got 2 really nice flounder in the box, or I'm sorry, in the live well there, so I cannot complain, not one bit. All right, we got something going on here. I think it's another jack. Yep, I think it is. Oh, nope, that's going to be the infamous bonnet head shark, I bet. Just dead weight. maybe he swallowed it and he'll break me off. No, get over here. Come on, get up here. Yep, it's a bonnethead shark. Bycatch. Trash fish. Fun to catch though, and they're actually very good to eat. A lot of people don't know that because they think all shark is disgusting. I can assure you, all shark is not disgusting. They are very sporadic whenever they fight. Goodness gracious, he's going all over the place. For whatever reason, they like going to the trolling motor and they love going into the big motor. A lot of times you get cut off. I'm surprised he hasn't cut me off yet. Like I said, it's only 25-pound leader. Don't really want to net him, but I'm by myself, so it's going to be kind of hard to have someone hold the pole. And just like that, we've got a caught shark. Here in Georgia, they've got to be 30 inches to the fork in order to harvest one. This guy's going to be short. Oh, there he went. See, it just cut right there. But I can see my jig. He wasn't even hooked in the mouth. He was hooked in the nose. But those of you that are curious, this is a bonnethead shark. A lot of people think they're hammerheads. They get, shovel head shark. You can see how his head is kind of looks like a spade shovel. Hammerheads, their noses are flat. And that's probably a 25 to 27 inch shark. Fun to catch, but I ain't gonna mess with them today. See you later, buddy. All right, let's get retied here, get another bait out there, and keep on keeping on. Actually, I'll show you what knot I tie for running just a regular old jig head. Again, it's not the right way, it's not the wrong way, it's my way. So if you don't like it, then you don't have to use it. It's free world or free country. So what I do is called a loop knot. So you do an overhand knot. That's probably hard to see, but do a little overhand knot, slip that through the eye of the hook, and then run your tag line back through that loop. I normally do 3 twists, and then you're going to come back around, back through the loop. Cinch it down tight, give it a good tug, trim your tag in, you're ready to rock. All these finger mullet are huge, but we've proved that anything eats them. Everything eats them. So we'll take it. So for coming out, I was going to do a no live bait trip here, but he said with a northeast wind, I didn't feel like stopping by the bait shop this morning. And I wanted to just throw plastic, but a strong northeast wind makes it a little difficult to throw, a really light plastic jig. And I figured why not give y'all something to actually watch. So throwing plastics can be very productive, but it can also be counterproductive. So instead of boring you with me cast after cast after cast, why not put some live bait out there and kind of greaten our chances to catch fish. Is grating a word? So I grabbed the plastic here because something keeps hitting the mullet, but I don't think it's big enough to eat the whole mullet. So grab my little jig here and see if I can figure out what it is. So I think it may be either small trout or maybe some more jacks that are swimming around over there. They keep scaling the mullet. I got a couple teeth marks in the back of him. I've already gone through 3 of them thinking that it was a flounder and missing them, but again, I think it's just a small fish, smaller fish that can't quite eat the whole mullet. Well, maybe it's needlefish because I just had a hit on the plastic. Oh, I think we got us another shark. And now I'm tangled in my other line. It was a shark. He just cut me off. All right, well, I'll crank that back in, and that'll be my sign to go ahead and go sheephead fish. Hate that the hook broke off in him, but that's what he gets for eating it. Jerk. Oh my gosh. Well, that there is what we call a lost cause. And we aren't plastic fishing anymore, at least with this rod. Holy crap. I'll be digging that out later. I don't have the time or the patience to sit there and tinker with it. So let me tie another jig head on this one. We're going to head to the sheephead spot and see if we can't scrounge something together. All right, I fished one of my favorite sheephead spots and didn't get a bite. Tide's really high. I pulled up to another spot here. I'm sure you can see where I'm at right there, but that's okay. Dropped the fiddler crab down, missed a bite right away. So I'm going to try and get a video of me catching one. Not that you haven't already seen a video of somebody catching a sheephead, but this is me catching a sheephead. So the tide's still moving pretty quick. I think it's the last little bit of the incoming. I don't think these sheephead that are right here are very big, but they're still fun to catch, and they're biting pretty quickly. So why not catch one or two for you real fast? And of course, turn the camera on, so now they're not going to bite. But just bear with me here. Let's see. There he is. Yeah, I was right. Little dinky fellas. Still fun to catch, though. These little guys here, man, they fight so hard. Even this little bitty fella. I mean, granted, current is moving pretty quick, but I don't know. I just love catching them. To me, one of the prettiest fish in the river. That's a little bitty guy, and of course, he jumped out of my hands. And I'm barefoot. Calm down, buddy. I'm gonna let you go. I'm just trying to make you YouTube famous. I'm trying to help you. Calm down. There he is. Little bitty fella. He might be 6-8 inches to the fork. Pretty though. I don't know if you can see all the pretty purples. I don't know. They're just real beautiful. A little snaggle teeth. All right, one more, and then I think I'm gonna head to the house. It's getting pretty warm, and I got 2 flounder. If I don't keep them, maybe somebody at the dock will want them. If not, I'll ice them down and cleat them later. There's immediately another one on it. So there's probably a little school of miniature ones down there, but I can't help myself. When they're biting, I gotta feed them. So I'm only using a 3-ounce weight. So it's not a whole bunch for this current, but it does the job, as you can tell. Another little dinky guy. A lot of the times they're real different. So that last one had a lot of purple on his face. This one's got like a gold color on his face. I'll show you, see if you can even see it in the camera. I'm probably blocking it, but I don't know if you can see all that gold along his nose there. I wonder if that differentiates like their sex or not. Oh, goodness gracious. Like little live grenades in your hand. And everything on them is spiky, so it hurts. Sorry, buddy. Go get bigger. All right, for real this time. If I catch one more little small one, I'm going to go ahead and head in. Bear with me here. But yeah, what I was saying is I'm only using a little 3-ounce egg weight with a bead. Knocker rig is what everybody calls it. I call it sheephead rig because that's all I use for sheephead most of the time. But dropping it down, kind of feeling out how the current is making my bait fall. It's getting to the bottom and there's already another one on it. So they're in there pretty thick, which is cool. I wish they were bigger, but beggars can't be choosers. Targeted species acquired. So there's that. I'll get y'all a video whenever I get back to the ramp. I might mess with these for another minute or two, but thanks for watching as always. I appreciate all the support from everybody. All in due time. It's only going to get better. You know, the fishing is, like I said, fall's right around the corner. So when that hits, it's going to be game on. So call, message, text, comment, get you a trip booked. I promise you, you won't regret it. Thanks.